Okay, now we're looking at a process template in ProcessKit. And before we dig into it, let's see how we came here. You can always access your process templates here under Processes. This is a list of all of your process templates, and you can organize them by group. We're going to look at our new client onboarding process template. And as you can see, it's broken down step by step. And if you prefer a more compact view, you can switch into that. Now, these steps are not checkable, of course, because these are not actual tasks. This is just a template that your task lists are copied from. But in this second tab, Task Lists, this is where you can see all of the active task lists that were copied from this process template. And you can sort it by their progress, and you could even filter it down by which client they're for. And just below the name actually shows the name of the project where this task list resides. So process templates turn into task lists on projects. Now, as you make changes and improvements to your process template, you can propagate those changes out by going up to Process Settings and click Propagate Process. And that will tell you how many active task lists are currently using a copy of this process. And when you click this button, all of your latest changes will be pushed out to those active task lists, and it won't wipe out their progress. It'll just update the content. Now, in your list of steps in your process, you can drag and drop to reorder these if you need to. And then you'll want to open up each individual step to start editing its content. The first panel here is the main content for the step, and it's made up of what we call blocks. You can add all sorts of blocks to your steps in a process. It can just be a description area like this. And in your descriptions, you can embed images, videos, links, and more. But most of these other blocks are form fields. You could even have an email template that you can send out from ProcessKit. You can store a website address or even have a list of checkboxes like these. So we've got a selection, we've got a checkboxes list, kind of like sub-checkboxes within this step. And you can drag and drop these blocks to change their order as well. Next, let's go down to the date rules on this step. A step can have a start date and a due date, but here in the process template, they're set up as rules. So dynamic date rules are rules that basically say when the start date should be calculated and when the due date should be calculated. And these can be based on a number of different criteria, and you can build in these rules to really make your dates work dynamically. Then we'll move down to automations. So automations in ProcessKit come in 3 flavors. We've got actions. These are the automations that will happen as soon as somebody checks off this task. And there are a number of different actions that you can set up here. Visibility rules determine whether or not this step in the process should be shown or hidden. So you can have dynamic variations of your process. For example, if the client has a certain attribute, like their plan is set to the gold plan, then we might want to show some steps or hide other steps. And you can set up these rules on a bunch of different criteria. Dependencies are similar to visibility, except instead of showing and hiding the step, we are determining whether or not the person should be allowed to check it off yet or not. It might be waiting on something that it's dependent on, like it's dependent on another step being completed first, or another step is past due, or some other criteria. Finally, you can build in your people assignments here at the process template level. So you can go to assignments and just select members of your team. So if you know that somebody is always responsible for a certain task, you can set that person or multiple people to that task. Or if you have a team with multiple people in certain roles, you can use our dynamic roles system for having different rules around who should be assigned to the task in different scenarios. And another quick tip, as you're building out your process templates, if you're building in lots of rules and dynamic dates and stuff, it might be easier to duplicate the step and then change a bit of the content rather than having to re-enter all those settings each time. That makes it a lot faster to build out your processes. So that's an overview of how you might use a process template in ProcessKit.